Hey y'all, it's Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and today we're going to be making this very sword-like letter opener. Now, there's a lot of neat things in this. We're going to be fullering the material. We're going to be slitting and then driving this back on itself, and the handle. There's a bunch. So, let's get going. The majority of the tools we're going to use in this project are just normal blacksmithing tools that you've seen a million times, just a hammer you like forging with. I'm going to use a softened hammer because that's what I use a lot on struck tools. Center punch, you can use a hot cut. What I'm going to use is a chisel with a pair of vice grips, but you can use a hot cut. A couple of small drifts, a cold chisel, and a pair of tongs that'll hold the material. We're also going to use a couple of other tools. This is a 1/4 inch chop fuller. There's a video on how I make this. We're going to use this little guy right here, which is just like a spacer, and then we're going to use it to drive the material. It's just a piece of 1/4 inch square with a couple of pieces, a 1/4 inch round, welded on there, and then a cutting plate so we can put this on the anvil and cut through the material and not damage the anvil face. The material I'm using is 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch flat stock, 10 inches long. I gotta make some marks on it here, so I'm gonna mark it at 1 inch, and mark it at 4 inches, gonna mark it at 5 3/4, and then we're gonna mark it at 6 1/4. Then we're gonna center punch this, dead center. Now when I'm marking something at dead center, I do a lot of what is commonly known as eyeballing, but feel free to measure it if you want to. We're going to put it in by the end with the 1 inch mark on it, and we're going to heat up the section specifically by the last mark that we put up. There we go. Make sure you've got this piece handy. We're going to use our center punch to go to the center of the last center punch. I'm not going to get in a hurry about this. It's in there perfect. Now we'll straighten it up a little. Just straightening everything up. Nothing big. That's a little off kilter right there, but we can fix that later. Now I'm gonna let this cool off. Now let this cool off so I can drill the next 2 holes with this 1/8 drill bit. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brandon, why didn't you do that first? Because I forgot. That's why. There we go. This is another thing I could have done first, but I didn't. I'm just kind of chiseling a line between the 2 holes, just so I have a mark. I'm going to do this on both sides so that I have a mark, because next we're going to be heating this and we're going to be cutting through this line. While we're getting the piece hot again, we'll drop the cutting plate in this anvil and get this ready to go. This is the kind of thing you don't want to get in a big rush over. Let's go into our line we chiseled in. And it's okay if this takes several heats, because we're going to do it from both sides. Maybe we can negate the effects of putting a friggin' line on one. do it from the opposite side now. That has got it split through there. Give it one more tap right there. That's why we use the cutting plate. That way we don't damage our anvil and we don't damage our chisel a lot. Now we want to line this little drift up in the dead center. Once again, eyeballing. Just going to give it a couple of taps. Okay, this side's starting to come out a little quicker than this side. That's a little bit of a problem, but maybe we can fix it. Same deal. We're going slow here. Still got this V-bore anvil up here, which is a tiny brittle hole and a giant hardy hole. Okay, so this side's coming out a little too quick, but we're going to try a trick here in a second. Okay, I got a slightly larger drift and a water bottle with a tiny little hole punched in the lid. Maybe we can quench it one side. Might cool it off just enough. Not really, but maybe we can fix it. Maybe we can fix it. I wasn't planning on using this, but I'm going to use a bigger drift. Ooh, that got ugly. You know what, at this point I'm going to let it cool off. And I'm going to file the inside here and see if I can't clean that up a little bit. Yeah. Sure, this is super spellbinding YouTube material here. Well, after a little filing, that looks a lot better. And now our two sides are of more equal size, so this should probably work out better. I don't know why I've never done that before. Just gonna open this up a hair more. There we go. So now this little guy comes back and we're gonna put him in a vise because we're gonna be driving that material back on itself using this to hold it in the fuller. It'll make sense. Okay, so I'm grabbing this from the fullered end and quenching. Oh, fit in there. There we go. And quenching this end. Still curving on me a little bit. That helps us start driving this in on itself. This could take several heats, so don't be scared to put it back in the forge. So I'm quenching this right past the loop on the end I'm hitting. That should. Yeah, it's starting to get a little off. Ooh, let's work on that. Ways we're going to be working on this. One of them is going to be, that didn't help. Just going to use this giant hardy for a second. There we go. I got it driven back so it's even again. Now we can heat it and keep driving this forward. This is one of those jobs that if you were using a torch or a coal forge, you can control the heat a little better, and it would make it go quicker. One more adjusted here. Tippy tap. All we're doing is closing this up a bit. As I close one side up, it tilts everything. So we gotta bring it back to get everything straight. Use this giant hardy hole some more. Alright, I think that is just about our guard. We'll refine that more a little later. Now, whoa, if I can get my tongs open. Let's draw this to a point and put a little bevel on it. Now this is thin material. So as we've seen, it cools off quick. We're doing a little coat run. Should be pretty good for our purposes. Now we're going to bevel both sides. So I'm going to bring this to the step of the anvil and hold it at a slight angle, and I'm striking it at an angle. And I'm putting a slight bevel. You'll notice as I put that bevel, it kind of bananas the whole thing. That's okay, because when we put the bevel on this side, it'll straighten all that back out. Now we've got our opposite side, putting it down and just doing the same thing. Now it appears to be a little misshapen, because it is, but that's okay. We're going to fix that on the sander. So let's work. Now let's let it cool off. Let's do that. Now it's nice and cool. Do you remember the last mark we put on there? Well, we're going to split it. We're going to tear our bandsaw off. That's what we're going to do. Oh no. I have ordered more bandsaw blades, but this is the last one I have here, so we must pray that it works. Alright, now we're gonna split it. Now you don't need a bandsaw to do this. You could cut it with a chisel. You could use a hacksaw. You could use a cut-off wheel on an angle grinder. That's all we're doing. Just to make sure you saw that, we just split that in about an inch down. And once we've heated this in, we're going to come over to a hot cut. And maybe, there we go, get the split kicking apart there. Looks like a little guy, doesn't it? Maybe not. Maybe I've been in the shop by myself too long. No, it looks like a little man. Hello. Jesus. We're gonna bend this little guy down. Got a little taper on him. We're gonna do that a little more, draw it out just a little, get it a little thinner. Nice and thin now. This is relatively simple. All I'm doing is with a little scroll on there. There we got a little flat looking. That's it, just something decorative. Now coming back over to the vise, you want to make sure you put it in the vise past the guard. And then we're going to try to get at least one full turn out of this bad boy. Oh, that is magnificent. Excalibur-like even. Oh yeah. Okie dokie, now we're going to try to straighten this out a little bit. We've got a little bound up here and there. Yeah, it's coming along a little. Yeah, we'll work on this in the vise a little. Okay, once again, we're going to let this cool off, and then we're going to do a little grinding on it. Now, the easiest way to true this up and put a little edge on it is a belt sander. So here we go. Okay, so we have given this the semblance of an edge. Now, a couple things I want to fix on it. I want to do a little bit more with the guard, and I want to fix this little funky flat spot right here. And yeah, that's it. Now, the reason why we're not getting this thing razor sharp is it's a letter opener, not a sword. Not perfect, but I like that. Now we'll work on the guard. All I want to do here is just kind of tap that a little bit that way, tap that a little bit that way. This time. One more heat. Tapering there. There it is, throwing my alignment off. Oh. Now that it's cool, on to the grinder of death. There we go. That's not centered. There we go. So here's the deal. It's a little crooked, but it's all right. It'll do. Now, a couple things to keep in mind with this. This is not necessarily just for this size material. You could do it on any flat stock. You could probably do it on square stock. But this is really the main part we're working on here, the element in this forging. This is just a simple letter opener. You could make pickets on a gate. You could make, well, you make anything. Anything you can imagine putting that element into, you can do same thing. You can scale it up, you can scale it down. Now, like I said, it's isn't super well finished because it's just a letter opener. It's going to sit in somebody's coffee cup that they got for Father's Day on their desk. It's not a big deal. But what do you think about this element? What are you going to use it on? All right, so there we have it, our epic mini sword letter opener. Now, like I said, this is not just a letter opener project. This is elements that you can use in other things elsewhere. Like here is a big one that is for looking at. But imagine this is a gate picket or something like that. So lots of ideas. What are you going to use these techniques when you're making? What do you think about any of this? Let me know in the comments. All right, y'all behave yourselves.